Hi there, televiewers on my Media Prime Television, and happy week start from us at this very platform. Of course, it's a favorite bilingual program, The Brief, where we always get to dig several layers beneath the major headlines as captured by newspapers. Today, edition of the program, we are focusing on what happened in Bamenda, the media landscape in Cameroon this morning, as a journalist was shot and killed by armed men in the evening of yesterday, as the journalist was relaxing in a drinking spot. As we are reading in the paper circumstances surrounding the death of that journalist, we will debate on that this morning as the newspapers are focusing on that. We shall equally talk about the collapse of a wall in Kondengi, or at the Kondengi Maximum Security Prison in Yaoundé. 15 meters long wall collapsed yesterday, and it is feared so many inmates have escaped, from what newspapers are telling us this morning. We will talk about that, what actually happened, that the wall had to collapse in that kind of prison, a prison where you have all top profile prisoners of the country in that part of the country, and of course the lives of those who are living in the neighborhood where the prison is situated is preoccupying the newspapers this morning. We shall dwell on that, like I earlier mentioned. Amadou Tante is already with us in the studio. He's a human rights defender. We will be debating with him, and Maitre Alex Ndive is also on the line to London. He will also be telling us how the coronation of Prince or King Charles III unfolded over there in London. That was last weekend, or over the weekend. Etape Quentin has been reading through the major headlines in the French language newspapers. Let's have what he gathered for us. Bonjour Etape.
Bonjour Lasha et bonjour à nos millions de téléspectateurs et bon début de semaine. Mesdames et messieurs, bienvenue dans cette revue de presse bilingue de votre programme Débrief, édition de ce lundi 8 mai 2023 sur ma Media Prime Télévision. Commençons très rapidement cet exercice avec le journal Le Zénith, qui s'intéresse à la santé et titre à sa grande une: l'hôpital général de Yaoundé agonise. Selon nos confrères de la presse écrite, le décès de M. Jean Colbert Ambassa, survenu le 11 avril dernier dans les circonstances troubles au service d'hémodialyse de cette infrastructure sanitaire, semble être le détonateur d'une bombe qui ne va pas tarder à exploser. L'hôpital général de la capitale politique du pays souffre de plusieurs maladies, notamment l'absence d'eau, des appareils défectueux, ANAC, négligence des patients et manque de kits personnels. Face à cette situation, le personnel médical est en colère. Des informations à retrouver en français facile dans les lignes et colonnes de la page 3 de ce numéro en kiosque ce matin. Restons toujours dans la même mouvance pour parler de la Covid-19 dans le monde. L'Organisation mondiale de la santé lève l'état d'urgence sanitaire. C'est ce que nous propose d'ailleurs le journal Éco-Santé. Le journal Éco-Santé qui, dans sa page 12, explique que le directeur général de l'Organisation mondiale de la santé, le journal Éco-Santé et non Éco-News, voilà, je le répète, journal Éco-Santé. Alors, le journal qui, dans sa page 12, explique le directeur général de l'OMS a levé la lettre maximale concernant la pandémie du coronavirus le 5 mai dernier, estimant qu'elle est désormais suffisamment sous contrôle. Toutefois, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus souligne que le pire, ou bien les choses qui sont mal connues qu'un pays puisse faire maintenant est d'utiliser cette information comme une raison de baisser les bras, de démanteler les systèmes qu'il a construits ou d'envoyer le message à son peuple que le Covid-19 n'a rien d'inquiétant, raison pour laquelle il invite la communauté mondiale à moins de panique, mais à plus de vigilance. Eh bien, la Lucane hebdomadaire, parlons à présent de l'environnement avec ce journal. La Lucane hebdomadaire s'intéresse à l'environnement et titre en sa grande une, Yaoundé, les eaux usées font la loi. D'après ce journal d'information générale, les rues de la capitale politique du Cameroun sont de spectacles des eaux nauséabondes qui débordent les regards creusés en pleine chaussée depuis quelque temps. Une situation qui expose les populations à plusieurs maladies. Afin de remédier très rapidement à ce problème, le ministre de l'Habitat et du Développement urbain, Célestine Ketia-Koutès, appelle l'élite locale à prendre des mesures urgentes. Elle l'a fait à travers une correspondance adressée au maire de Yaoundé. En tout cas, allez parcourir la page 6 de cette livraison en kiosque ce matin pour plus de détails. Parlons à présent économie, justement avec le journal Econews. Econews nous renseigne sur l'économie ce matin comme tous les jours. Bassin de production de Bassamba, le calvaire des producteurs, c'est ce que nous présente le journal de Pascal Dibamou en sa page 1 de ce jour. Dans la page 7, il est écrit que la production des produits de rente du café, du cacao a drastiquement chuté en raison de l'augmentation de près de 100% des intrants agricoles. Conséquence directe, les producteurs ne peuvent pas vivre de leur labeur. Ce journal d'analyse et d'enquête économique paru en kiosque ce matin vous plonge dans les labyrinthes de cette mamelle nourricière du département du D. Prenons ce dernier journal pour terminer, Meomé Salah qui est arrivé à notre rédaction ce matin parle de la 51e fête de l'unité et titre en grande une, Paul Biya donne le temps. De la page 6 à la page 7, l'on peut lire la trame de fond de l'édition 2023 à travers laquelle le chef de l'État magnifie la collaboration entre l'armée et le peuple camerounais autour du thème force de défense et peuple camerounais en symbiose pour la sauvegarde de la paix et de l'unité nationale, socle d'un Cameroun fort et prospère. Mesdames et messieurs, voilà, c'est tout pour la revue de presse en langue française. Place actuellement à la découverte de ces unes en langue de Shakespeare. Avec toi, Lasha, une fois de plus, good morning.
Thank you, Etape Quentin. Good morning once again, televiewers on my media prime. Let's kick start with the Guardian Post newspaper this morning. The paper is interested in the collapse of the walls of the prison of Kondenge's maximum security prison in Yaoundé. Kondenge prison wall collapses, inmates escape feared. Digging further, a section of the Kondenge Central Prison in Yaoundé has reportedly collapsed under unclear circumstances. The development has left many afraid some inmates might have taken advantage of the collapse wall and escaped, according to sources close to the maximum security prison. The incident occurred yesterday afternoon, and the section of the wall which collapsed is being estimated at over 15 meters, though the exact cause of the incident remains unknown. Some sources have linked it to the heavy downpour in parts of the central region earlier yesterday. Still in this edition of the Guardian Post newspaper, this time around the newspaper is presenting to us the situation of Cameroon. Cameroon that has become a shadow of itself when it comes to food supply in a Semak sub-region. From bread basket to empty basket, writes the Guardian Post newspaper in this editorial piece, or on this editorial column this morning. Before the gruesome armed conflict in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon, compounded by Boko Haram terrorist attacks, COVID-19 and the war in Ukraine, Cameroon used to boast of being the bread basket of the Semak sub-region, where Cameroon has become a shadow of itself as we speak now, due to the multiple crises that the newspaper is telling us this morning. Get full details on the situation of Cameroon in this edition of the Guardian Post newspaper. For contributions to curb unemployment, state honors Nigerian businessman Eze Guru, as we are reading. Get full details in this edition of the Guardian Post newspaper. On to municipal updates. Municipal update is taking us to London to talk about the coronation of King Charles III, revisiting Cameroon's historic presence, Biya's powerful delegation and diplomatic moves. Head of State Envoy Diongute makes a strong showing. Military contingent from Yaoundé adds color to historic event. We leave Municipal Updates newspaper. Before that, the paper is talking about the killing of a journalist in Bamenda. Journalist shot dead in Bamenda yesterday evening. Get full details in this edition of the newspaper, talking about the circumstances surrounding the death of that journalist working for the Advocate newspaper in Bamenda. The Voice newspaper is also focusing on Black Sunday for media family in Bamenda. Journalist shot dead on heels of World Press Freedom celebrations. Digging further, Anye Nde saw the Northwest correspondent for the Advocate newspaper, a member of the Cameroon Association of English-speaking journalists, was reportedly shot dead by gunmen. Other sources say the native of Mankon in the Mezam division was caught in the chest by a bullet while he was relaxing at Don Simon, a popular snack bar and chair streets in Tarikon, Bamenda. Open sources, according to the paper, say Anye died before reaching the Bamenda Regional Hospital, in whose morgue his corpse was deposited at 9 p.m. on Sunday, May 7, 2023. His demise comes just 4 days after journalists in region joined their colleagues in the world over to celebrate the 30th edition of the World Press Freedom Day at Alliance Franco-Camerounese, May 3, 2023. Still in this edition of the Voice newspaper, let's talk about Nigerian politician who has been jailed for 9 years in the UK over organ trafficking plot. You can read the full details of the judgment that was passed recently by a judge in Nigeria as we are reading. Still in this edition of the newspaper, we are told that Anglophone elites are dispersed, or they are acting in dispersed ranks when it comes to the upcoming Southwest Peace Forum to resolving the Anglophone crisis. Get full details in the Voice newspaper this morning, talking about the Anglophone elites who are acting in dispersed ranks. We end this morning with the Post newspaper that is telling us that authorities are shocked as some Eneo subcontractors start strike before announced date. Eneo GM blames company's financial crisis on non-payment of bills by big consumers including the state of Cameroon and some of its institutions. Get full details in this edition of the Post newspaper that you can find this morning in Cameroon. We are back in the studio, Televias on My Media Prime, to continue digging several layers beneath the major headlines the newspapers are presenting to us this morning. Amadou Tante is joining us in the studio this morning. Amadou, good morning and welcome. It's been long.
Yeah, actually it's been long, Mr. Lasha. Good morning once more. Well, I've been on the ground zero, so trying to gather some information in regard to the reality, exactly to find out the reality on the field, the human rights situation in the field, particularly in the Northwest region, because I've moved around, I think about 5 or 6 divisions in the Northwest region to at least to ascertain the reality on the field.
Okay. Thank you. So how has it been?
Well, let me say it's not really been easy, but since that's the nature of the profession I'm engaged on, I had to do everything possible to make sure that I have the most awaited result, and thank God that for the collaboration of the people of Menchum Division, the traditional rulers of Menchum Division, where I went to, and the Bui Division, as well as Ndonga Mantum Division, Ngokotunja, and Mezam Division as well, because they were really very collaborative with me, and I got exactly what I wanted to get on the ground.
What about local administrative authorities?
Well, permit me say, with regard to the kind of information we get, it becomes very complicated meeting local authorities, because normally we know that it's not an obligation for me to go and meet the administrative authority to have information or to have authorization, because I can just go to meet any of these people if I deem that it might be risky for me to do my work. But if I know that going to this administrative authority may instead expose me to more risks, I think going there isn't an obligation.
What about the non-state armed groups?
Well, non-state armed groups are everywhere, just trying to do their own work they are doing. But the way when I go there, I don't make sure that I don't let them know exactly who am I. I just tell them as I'm a normal citizen, like any other citizen. You just tell them lies. You don't tell them lies or this whatsoever you think that will make you easily go on and do your work without without any major problem. But if they find out that this is the person you are, then you know how to convince them, make them understand that you are just there to have information on what is happening, to make sure that the world in general know exactly what is going on in the Anglophone region, because we have been hearing that everything is under control, things have come to normal and all that. So when you go to the field like this, you have the first class information on what exactly is going on in the field. And people, we are due respect, permit me say, I'm happy that we just learned about an hour ago that the light has returned back to Baba One village, my village of origin, due to the new, our new phone. As has been seen, a phone, you can bear with me that just about a few days ago, our phone, there was the total darkness in Baba One after the disappearance of our phone.
The traditional ruler disappeared after he's been on the throne for over 30 years.
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, so welcome to the new bear.
Okay. Metro Alex, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Lasha. Good morning, Mr. Etape. And I want to send my greetings to Mr. Tante for his selflessness and indefatigable work that he's doing in our country. And I also want to send my greetings to the beautiful people of the Cameroons. Okay, it's always a pleasure to be on your program.
Okay,
thank you very much, mate.
I begin with you. Yeah, I understand you were at the coronation of
Please, the sound have disappeared, Mr. Lasha.
Yes, coronation.
The sound have disappeared. I know you can hear me.
Yes, I understand you took part at the coronation of King Charles III, and this morning Municipal Updates newspaper is revisiting what actually happened in London during the coronation. The delegation led by Prime Minister.
About it is that I'm happy that Prime Minister John Ute is in the UK. And the good thing is we should learn from other people's culture. What happened, which is very important that we should learn in our own countries, that during the coronation, there were people who were against the monarchy. They gave them a place to protest. And there were people who were supporting the monarchy, and that's how it works in a democracy. And recently, I understand we'll be having 20th May. A lot of people have grievances. I would like the government to put people in Avenue Vengmel there to protest peacefully and put their grievances to the government. That's democracy. Democracy is not only about election. As it stands in the UK, a CNN poll shows that 44% of people, they don't like the royal leadership. 41% they like it. 16% they are undecided. That is democracy. And that's why I love the UK. When I see their tradition, what they are doing, they respect everybody's right. It's not one size fits it all. It's their tradition. We used to have absolute monarchy in the UK. Now we have constitutional monarchy. The power of the king have been reduced, and the people who are running the country are the elected government. And yesterday was King Charles's day. You could see it was focusing on King Charles. The Prime Minister was there behind there. And that is a good thing again. Everybody have his role to play in this country. Whether it's the Archbishop of Canterbury, that's the head of the Anglican Church in UK, he has got his role. The king is not above him in his role. The king have got his role. The Prime Minister have got his role. Everybody have got his role. That is how you run a country. That's the beauty about this country, that everybody is important, including the citizens. So that's the beauty about it. And I hope that Prime Minister John Ute was here. I'm sure he studied in the UK. I shouldn't be telling him much. He knows about those things. We should take those good democratic practice in this country back to our country, back in the Cameroons.
Okay, mate, we're coming back. Amadou Tante, a journalist shot and killed in Bamenda yesterday. As a human rights activist, what do you have to say to this new development? You left Bamenda a few days ago. Upon reaching Douala, you have not even submitted your work. Another case reported.
It's really regrettable at this point in time. Journalists, particularly journalists, are still being targeted. Them say the populations are still being targeted, and journalists in particular. And it's regrettable that such a thing is happening at the verge of the celebration of the World Press Freedom Day. So just to tell the world that nothing is going on well in the Northwest region. This one is just come as an alarm to tell the world that those who are go about saying that things have returned to normal, nothing has returned to normal. Things might have calmed down, but the situation remains very tight, and the conflicting parties are all over.
Now, it will be very difficult for you to really determine who is doing what, where, and how in the northwest region of Cameroon. Because when you have conflict, you have opportunists who come in. There might be some kind of score settling, or somebody just decided, to end the life of that journalist, and he might have got absolutely nothing to do with the ambassy or the military.
Well, that might be true because we have some cases as such where people have been targeted, but not that they might have been targeted by people out of they might have been might have been conspiration. Maybe some of the enemies or somebody had some grudges with him might have conspired with either separatists or the military to commit such an act. Although some of the things might have been done by somebody who is neither the military or a separatist, because these things for quite some time now, many people have been using the issue of the crisis to settle scores with some of their some people within their area. So that's why we keep saying that we need to do everything possible to end this war. But rather than going around saying that everything is under control, everything is under control because people are moving, this thing is going on this way, this thing is going on this way. But we should not have to wait for people to keep on dying, because there's people keep dying everywhere, be it killed by the separatists or the military. Apart from a case like such, people are still contemplating on whether he was killed by the military or killed by separatists or whosoever.
But was there really a gun exchange? Was there was there a battle that led to? Because some newspapers are talking about a lost bullet. Yes, well, a stray bullet. Was there really a confrontation between?
Well, I cannot say what I don't know. I'm still to verify. We're still to carry our investigation to find out actually if there was a gun battle within the area where the journalist was shot. So I cannot say what I don't know for now.
In a popular drinking spot where the bullet caught him in the chest.
Absolutely, that's what we are learning from the media, because as I said, I have not yet carried out any investigation for now to find out actually what happened.
Metro Alex, another sad day for the media landscape in Cameroon. Another journalist shot and killed in Bamenda.
Any death or whatsoever, it's sad for our society, and my condolence to the family and friend of Mr. Che, the journalist who was murdered. At the end of the day, somebody has been murdered. At the point, what am I looking? What will happen? My issue in Cameroon is not only about people being murdered. It's when somebody is murdered, there's never justice. We don't know until today. I don't know. Maybe you know, you tell me. I don't know what happened. What happened with the people who killed Florence Ayafo? I don't know what happened with the people who murdered Wazizi. The point is, when somebody is murdered in a country, a state of law, they have to investigate it, the police. They have to take that person, if they arrest the culprit, to court. We have to see justice. The person need to be convicted. The problem is, when we don't find the killer, what happens? Every day in our life, we are working with people, dangerous people in the street, in our community. It is very important that when people murder, it's very dangerous when you're a murderer. It means you cannot mix with the community. Not finding these people means go and sit in that drinking spot and they talk with people who have murdered somebody. It's the essence. People pay tax to a government. I keep on repeating this, is to work, maintain law and order, provide security for our people and national security. That is why people pay their tax to a government. And the government owes that duty to make sure that our society is safe for us. And if you're not fulfilling your function as a government, then there is something wrong. And that's why people replace government everywhere in the world. It's not only in Cameroon. When crime is very high in any country in the world, you realize that during election they will keep the government out. Because
has this got something to do with what they are talking about, the government? Can you not say, is it not a targeted killing?
Mr. Lasha, whether it's target killing or what, the government is responsible for that. You have undercover security. They have to protect people. What security? You have intelligence. Whoever killed that person, the job of the government is to make sure that our streets are safe. It's not up to the civilian. Whether somebody target the person or what, it might be. But the problem at the end of the day, we call it somebody have been murdered. And we come back, who is responsible to provide national security according to the Constitution of Cameroon? The government. Who is supposed to enforce law? The government. Who is supposed to provide national security? The government. You go into government in order you have duties to protect the people. It doesn't matter who murdered that person. It's irrelevant. Somebody has been murdered. Today that person has been murdered. Who next? I know Bamenda very well. I know Tarikum very well. I used to walk the streets at night in Bamenda, right down in Commission Avenue to Sonak Street. Why have things changed? The government should go and diagnose why things have changed in our country and how can they bring peace in our society. How can our people go every day doing their daily chores without being fear that somebody will attack them in the street. If you don't have peace, you could be very rich, you could be very poor, you cannot enjoy your life without peaceful society. So the government have got a duty to guarantee our people, maybe by increasing the police forces in the street, visible police, community police. It is their job to do that. Nobody else have got that function in that country.
Okay, Metro Alex, why our producer searches for the interview of Committee to Protect Journalists Africa Program Coordinator. He was speaking to us a few days ago. She told us how he painted a picture of press freedom in Cameroon. Few days after her interview, we're seeing what we're seeing today. What happened in Bamenda? Amadou Tante.
So I'll start by saying that Metro just raised a very pertinent point here, because that's what I think I've been saying here on daily basis. We have keep talking on this issue of impunity in Cameroon, because that's one of the greatest problem we have here in Cameroon, because the issue of impunity has eaten deep into the fabric of our nation, and that is the main reason why we are having a lot of killings every day in Cameroon. Not only in North
and go freely without
people can go free without being done, without nothing being done. They keep telling me that they have open investigation and just end like that, and that this thing keep encouraging others to go about killing, because they know that they will kill and go free as the others went free. So those are the kind of things that the government need to do everything possible to make sure that we end the reign of impunity in Cameroon. That's the only way of curbing or reducing these high rates of killings on daily basis in Cameroon.
This is the second journalist that has been killed in the northwest region.
You see?
In this conflict.
Yeah, in this conflict, and most of them have been kidnapped and released later, maybe later released after. So the journalists have been targeted in the Anglophone region in particular, in general, and not only in the Northwest region. They have been targeted on several instances for no reason, because these are professionals who are only going about doing their job, carry out their investigation to tell the people, maybe to tell their audience what is actually going on there. And when you go out to give information, they are supposed to be protected instead, and they're not supposed to be targeted, because you see defense and security forces arresting some of these journalists. Some of them are already still in Quentin prison being detained. So others are in other prisons in the Anglophone region, okay, where others have been killed. So, and nothing is being done.
I don't know if the interview is ready. Let us listen to portion of what the program coordinator for Committee to Protect Journalists Africa Bureau said on World Press Freedom Day here on My Media Prime Television. Well, the interview is still, the producer is still working on the interview. Metro Alex, what is the way forward?
The way forward to me, I've already mentioned it, there is a government, and you get into government all over the world. There is a function that describes what you should do. I understand, I saw something Mr. Bia have set the tone, talking about the military, blah, blah, blah. I should make it very clear that the function of a military, the main role of a military in a country is to protect that country, define a state interest against external threat. But in our country, sometimes we use the military as if they are there against the citizens. The military should fight external threat, and to some extent, they can be used when we don't have enough police to protect our society. One of the reasons, to me, which I believe, people go scot-free. If you kill people in a country, any country on earth, what should happen is that you should be arrested, you should be tried, and you should go to prison. But when people kill people in our country, nothing happens. What do you expect? I see people in our country, what they call jungle justice. They beat people in the street. Oh, this person has stolen something. They killed that person. That is murder. Nothing ever happened. There are videos. There are evidence. The government doesn't do anything. Until the government starts prosecuting people as a deterrent, then people will know that it's a wrong thing to kill a person. At the moment, as things stand, people think, oh, I can just kill any person and get away with it. I can poison somebody and get away with it. They don't investigate it.
Okay,
I know a lot of people have been poisoned.
Let's listen to that interview. When we come back, we'll debate on it briefly and then take the Kondengi issue, the war of Kondengi prison that collapsed. Africa, and you were using the case of Cameroon, my country.
Yeah, I was using, because Cameroon is obviously the third worst jailer of journalists in Africa. and has been continuously on our prison census, which is a snapshot of the number of journalists that are in jail on the 1st of December each year. And the fact that it maintains and it continues to be on this list is really a sign that things are not improving in Cameroon in terms of press freedom. But not only that, I mean, the fact that we have had the murder of journalists, for example, this year, but it's not only the case of the journalists who've been killed this year. It's not only about, it's also about people like Samuel Wazizi, who died in custody, and whose death has yet to be properly investigated. So we have not seen, in terms of impunity, we have not seen that anyone has been held accountable. Granted, with Martinez Zogo, we are seeing some accountability, but obviously we need to see whether the court case will go ahead ultimately, and whether the people who are currently in jail awaiting trial are actually the ones who are the killers, or whether these are the only people involved in the killing.
Well,
so I guess what I'm trying to say is that, you know, we are not in a situation where today any journalist in Cameroon can feel safe, can feel secure, in the sense that they feel that they will be able to tell the public the truth and to be able to report freely.
Well, Madam, let me ask you, what explains this fact? Because as it stands now, Cameroon has not yet enacted the Freedom of Information Act. Could this be blamed on that simple fact?
I think it's more than that. I think that when government leaders are not committed to true press freedom, where you have the sort of impunity that you do have, then it does become a free-for-all, and journalists are then not in a position to exercise their craft. So it is really far more complex than that. I mean, if you just look at the laws that still exist, if you had a government that believed in press freedom, we would not have things like criminal defamation. We would not have a terrorism law that is so broad that journalists are being tried in military tribunals as civilians and are being then jailed. So I think, I think everything that we see that is happening in Cameroon certainly points to the fact that the leadership itself in Cameroon is not committed to press freedom.
So what is
taking that one step further, can I just say that if you take that one step further, let's look at what is happening in the two English-speaking regions of Cameroon. You have censorship, and let's also look at the north of Cameroon. You have censorship and self-censorship. And why is that? It is again because journalists are fearful, that they do fear reprisal. And let us say that certainly in the English-speaking regions, it is not only the government, and obviously the government is the worst offender, but journalists are caught between a rock and a hard place, because you also have separatists targeting journalists. So it's become very dangerous to be a journalist in Cameroon.
It becomes very dangerous to be a journalist in Cameroon. That's the picture that was being presented there by the Program Coordinator Committee to Protect Journalists Africa Bureau. She was speaking to My Media Prime Television exclusively on World Press Freedom Day. Metro Alex, you listened to Angela Quintal in that interview.
Yeah, what she's saying, I'm sure she's free where she is to be saying that the government is not committed to press freedom, and which is absolutely right. What I should say clearly, we were born free. What we have in the government, citizen and the government, is a social contract. The government should not be making us if they are giving us the right to speak. We were born free. We are giving the government some of our liberties in order to govern a country. So it saddens me sometimes when we hear that, oh, the government are giving this press freedom law. No, you don't give us that law. We, the people, give you that power in order to govern a country. And it saddens me that we don't want to hear both sides of the story. It's very important in life, no matter in the desiderata, they say even the dull and the innocent, they too have their own story. People can make good judgment. A country can develop when people look at you, criticize you, hold you into account. It's very good for every society. But rather than we, the government, you're scared what they're going to say or whatsoever. If I sit on your program today, Mr. Lasha, I said, Mr. Bia promised to construct deep sea port in Victoria 30 years ago. He did not do it. Am I lying? It's a fact. So we should be able to debate openly without being afraid. It doesn't threaten national security in Cameroon. If I say Mr. Bia promised to construct ring road, he did not do it.
Okay,
that's press freedom. People should be able to analyze things and talk with.
Okay.
Government should not be there to put fear on its people. You should not be. The government should be afraid of the people, not the other way around. It is very important. And at the end of the day, your freedom is your freedom. I don't want any government should not give me a freedom. I'm somebody, I will talk wherever I am in this world. Nobody will stop me from talking what I want to say. Insofar as I know what I'm saying is the truth and nothing but the truth. It is very important. And somebody, if the government doesn't want people to talk, it means they have something to hide. What are they afraid of? That is the point. If you have nothing to hide, come and speak like me. I don't care if people come and say whatever they want to say about me on earth, have nothing to hide. People who are afraid that the press should talk, they have something to hide. I'm sure social media is the worst nightmare of dictatorship on this earth that we are living, because people used to govern the country. We have one radio, one TV, they control everything.
Okay, mate, we'll come back to you.
The advent of social media, no person will hide again, no more. No room for any dictator on this planet. They are never going to hide.
Okay.
That's for social media.
Thank you. I will come back to Amadou Tante. A wall estimated over 15 meters has collapsed at the Kondege maximum security prison. How did this happen with a prison that is swallowing so much taxpayers' money?
Well,
they could not do renovation or in time.
It's really an unfortunate situation, but what we know is that we know the kind of governance we have in this country. Such thing cannot be a surprise to us again. For somebody who have been moving closer to most of these state structures, being some of the ministries, when you go to some of this area, you see some of the buildings, you listen to people talk that money, a heavy sum of money have been given to the administrators of these areas to renovate the structures and all that, but they don't do the same. Because that's what is happening here in Cameroon. Because people are more bent into looking for money to embezzle and all that. They don't care about such things, because that's not the only structure that has collapsed. We have in so many instances we have seen such things, and when you go closer to most of these ministries, even in Yaoundé and at the regional level, you see the things that's happening. Go to other prisons like prison in Bamenda, look at some of the prisons, you see the way the prisons are. They don't do innovation work. Meanwhile, some budgets are always allocated for such things, but when these people take the money, they prefer to do as usual, because Cameroon, I think it's as if the government have legalized corruption, and everybody can steal the state money and go free on petrol. So that's why I think they are doing, because it goes the same thing with what I was talking here on impunity. Because when something is done, when money is given for a ministry or for any department of the state to manage in the renovating the structure or doing the normal thing that they are supposed to do in the management of the structure, and it's not done, and if nothing is done by the government, they don't punish them, and they keep on encouraging others to go on and do the same thing. Because had it been when the government realized that this money was allocated for this project to be renovated was not done, and the government makes sure that the person who is controlling the budget in that area is sanctioned, the next time they will not do, the other department will not do the same thing again.
Okay, Metro Alex, it is feared that so many inmates have escaped from the prison, and the people living around the prison, they are not safe.
I was in Kondege sometime when I was inside there. I was looking at the prison. They call it's a maximum security prison. I was looking at it. If you put prisoners in the UK in that prison, all of them, they will escape. Let me tell you, it's not a prison. Yeah, I was looking at it. I was laughing.
Why do you say so?
People in this country, they send drones. They sit outside. The prison here is very secure. But criminals, they still infiltrate the prison. They use drones. They send drugs or what. So when I was in Kondege, I was looking at it. And again, we should know Kondege was constructed in 1960. 67. It was meant just for about 1,500 inmates. But today we have about 7,530 inmates in that small prison with 16 toilets, 400 beds. Amnesty International have described that prison as very harsh, overcrowded, poor sanitation, inadequate food. Some people eat once a day. However, I understand that it is maybe flood or what that brought down the wall. But it is called maximum security prison. Maximum. Flood will come and bring it down. And again, what's the consequences now? There are some dangerous people in that prison who might be murder criminals. If it happens that some of them are out of that prison now, so our people are with criminals in the street, I expect the government, the police, the head of police force to come and say, watch out, because people are out of the prison. It is dangerous. Don't confront certain people.
It is not yet confirmed, Metro. It is feared. I choose the word. Yes. It is not confirmed.
Mr. Lasha, they don't need to confirm me. If you're a prisoner, a wall goes down, you will run.
What about if you are shot down? If you run and they can shoot you down if you are running.
No, who will shoot you down? By the time it was getting down, people take risks. So I'm saying, whether confirm or not confirm, I expect the boss of national security to make a statement and to be, that's part of governing the people, to show that you care when you're running a country. Because sometimes these things are things that we take it for granted. That, to me, if they say a criminal has escaped from a prison or what, everybody is concerned. That's something that they have to alert the population to know about this. But unfortunately, these things happen in our country. We keep on using words, patriotism, peace. Those are just words. Let's put it in action if we love a country. Action speaks louder than words. It's not somebody who say, oh, we want peace. If there is peace, what are the consequences? Why is it that we don't have peace? You have to look at it and search for those things and solve the problem. Then there will be peace. If we just sit in a room, we just talk with mouth and say, oh, let's bring peace. You're just talking. You have to make sure you find solution for the problem rather than just talking using words. It is important that I understand most of us in our country. Most of us, people look at their interests. I'm scared if I do this, I might lose my job. I'm scared if I do this, I will not get this benefit. But sometimes in life, you have to do the difficult things in order to save many lives.
Okay, Metro, thank you for your time. Amadou Tante.
You're welcome.
We are ending this morning. What do your last word concerning the issue of Kondenge security? Yeah, human rights active people have been awaiting trial there for a very long time, making the prison to overcrowded. Some people are still there, no judgment for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
The world is collapsing. The prison that is supposed to be the highest secured prison in the country, the world collapsing.
Absolutely, we have denounced this the situation of Kondenge and other prisons in Cameroon on several instances. I call on the government to make sure that they reduce some of the prisons, that they construct some other prisons elsewhere and reduce some of the number of prisoners in this area. So when something as such happens, at least we are praying that it was something that I expected the government to make a statement as soon as possible, so as to let us know the situation of prisoners. I don't even think about the prisoners escaping, but I'm thinking about the life of other prisoners who are inside the prison, or in particularly the areas that collapsed. So at least they need to make a statement to let us know, Cameroonians know, that this is what happened and this is what happened, whether there was any casualty or not, so as to make us aware. At least the life of these people too matters. These people are supposed to be protected. As we were saying, there are so many prisoners who have been detained for quite a long time without undergoing trial, for maybe mostly political prisoners. Because most of these prisoners are political prisoners in Cameroon. Most of them political prisoners are regarded as the worst enemies, because maybe sometimes somebody is arrested simply because the government think that maybe what he was saying maybe on the media or whatsoever might be threatening to the regime in place. Decide to keep him there incommunicado, without any communication, without any trial, which is completely against the laws of the land. So as the Metro was trying to quote some certain things there concerning the issue of non-respect of the law here in Cameroon, like the lady who was talking on with regard to the issue of journalists, saying I heard you ask the lady about the issue of Freedom Information Act, why the journalists might not be facing all this problem in Cameroon because this law has not been ratified in Cameroon. But it's very clear that the government of Cameroon, the preamble of Cameroon is very clear. These are international norms. So Cameroon have ratified so many international norms, including the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. This all these laws, Cameroon have already said on the Constitution of Cameroon has already made it very clear that they are going to respect all this, whether Cameroon ratifies it or not, or as well as long as the Cameroon of Cameroon, the Constitution of Cameroon, which is the supreme law of the land, has accepted that all these things will be respected. The government need to respect them. At least they need to make sure that it protects Cameroonian, protects citizens. It doesn't mean that because somebody is in prison, mean that the person have lost all his rights. There are some certain rights that are supposed to be respected as well. They need to know that these people are living well or in this area. Make sure that protect the buildings. Make sure that the building is looked upon to be sure that they are protected wherever they are. They are not just like when somebody commit a crime, just throw you in prison, become maybe like they just dump you somewhere and say that you don't have any use, any importance, any whatsoever. They still have some certain rights that need to be respected by the government.
Okay, Amadou Tande, thank you for coming. We hope to have you once again.
Yeah, welcome.
This week or next week to come back and tell us.
Yeah, it was a pleasure for me to be around.
And thank you to Maitre Alex Dive for taking out your time to speak to us this morning. The program was produced for us by Christain, Tebong, Etape, Quentin, and myself, Lasha Kingsley. We're here for the presentation. It was the very first edition for the week. We are hoping and wishing you a great week ahead. Bye-bye from this end.